sword against the foe. See where an army strong as fair, with silken banners spreads the air. Now, if thou best that thing divine, in this day's combat, let it shine. And shew that nature once an art, and shew that nature once an art. Art flies around the truth, but with the definite intention of not getting burnt. Its capacity lies in finding in the dark void a place where the beam of light can be intensely caught, without this having been perceptive before. Franz Kafka, Blue October Notebooks. Namaste to one and all present here. It is with immense pleasure and profound delight that I welcome you to the Senior URA Writer Award panel discussion. At GIIS, we hold a deep-seated belief in the transformative power of imagination and creativity. Literature is not merely a pursuit, but a vital part of human experience. It is through creative expression that our students explore and articulate the depths of their thoughts and emotions. The URA Writer Award serves as a testament to this belief, offering our young gear cubs the opportunity to share their unique voices and visions with the world. At this juncture, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the parents who have joined us today. Your steadfast support and encouragement are integral to our child's journey. As it is often said, the influence of a mother and a father in the lives of children is beyond calculation. Your presence today signifies the importance you place on your child's growth and accomplishments. The URA Writer Award was conceived by Dr.M. Srinivasan as a tribute to the illustrious Shri Udupi Rajagopalacharya Ananthamurthy, a towering figure in Indian literature. Shri Ananthamurthy was a master storyteller, a profound critic, and a revered mentor to our Honorable Chairman. His contributions to Kannada literature are monumental, earning him the prestigious Jnanpith Award, the highest literary honor in India, as well as the Padma Bhushan. Through this award, we honor his legacy and continue to inspire future generations of writers. We welcome you, sir. Better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. It is our distinct privilege to have with us today our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Rafic Taj, Assistant Professor at Soundarya Institute of Management and Science. With an illustrious career spanning over a decade, Dr. Rafic has made significant contributions to teaching and research at different levels of education, and is a recipient of Best Teacher Award from Pratibha Academy, and is appointed by Ethnic Publications as Assistant Editors of International Journal of Literacy and Education. We are honored by your presence, ma'am, and I extend you a very warm welcome. As James Freeman Clarke rightly said, strong convictions precede great actions. I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our visionary chairman, Dr. M. Srinivasan, whose dedication to holistic education has paved way for countless students to achieve their full potential. His unwavering belief in nurturing every child's innate abilities has been the foundation of GIIS success. We are equally indebted to our respected principal, Ms. Nandini Bhatt, whose relentless pursuit of excellence has created a thriving environment for both students and educators. Her guidance and leadership continue to inspire us all. I would also like to warmly welcome our internal judges, Ms. Sangita Arun and Ms. Sonali Banerjee, who serve as English mentors at GIIS. Welcome to one and all. As we celebrate the achievements of our current finalists, it is fitting to recognize those who have paved the way with their exemplary performances in previous years. I'm delighted to invite Shri U.R and Amartya to the stage to share their experiences. We shall begin with Shri U.R.
Namaste everyone. My name is Shri U.R, and first I just want to start off by thanking GIIS for the opportunity to be here among so many creative minds. For me, writing has always been a medium through which I'm able to pen down my most honest thoughts. So today I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of original and fresh perspectives on the panel. All the best to the panelists.
Namaste, my name is and I was previously a gear still am. And URA was a great experience, honestly. I was never exposed to a writing medium before this, but after URA, it has sort of changed perspectives on how to look at things, how to see things. And I'm really, really happy for you guys because you are going to be given the opportunity today. And I wish you the best of luck. And also, if you guys have pets, please let me know because I love dogs.
Thank you, each of you, for your inspiring words. Now let us give a resounding round of applause to our top 9 finalists. I now have the pleasure of introducing the finalists for the Senior URA Writer Award. As we call out your name, please introduce yourself in a line or two. Gauri Nag, grade 9.
Namaste, my name is Gauri Nag and I am honored and delighted to be a part of this enriching panel discussion. Thank you.
We have Chaitra, grade 9.
Namaste, my name is Chaitra and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to be on the panel.
Venkat, grade 9.
Namaste everyone, my name is Venkat Varanasi. I'm an author and I published my own book. I'm extremely honored to be here and thank you so much.
Nithya, grade 10.
Namaste, I'm Nithya. Language has always been special to me and I'm really looking forward to the insights that this panel can give me. Thank you.
Ivana Dua, grade 10.
Namaste, I'm Ivana, I'm from grade 10 and evidently I'm a writer amongst everyone here today and I'm very happy to be here.
Aarush, grade 11.
Namaste, my name is Aarush and I'm grateful to be here at this panel today and I'm hoping to hear some nice different perspectives from everyone today and of course learn something new.
Asmi, Mathur, grade 11.
Namaste, my name is Asmi Mathur and I'm honored to be part of this panel discussion with so many of my talented peers.
Amartya, grade 12.
My name is Amartya. I like to write and I'm actually pretty grateful to be here.
Aashna, grade 12.
Namaste, my name is Aashna Jain. I really like writing and I really like learning new things, so I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Let us extend our warmest congratulations to these talented individuals. The rules of the panel discussions are as follows. The chairman, chief guest, internal judges, and last year's winners will be asking questions. The speaking order for participants will be determined by drawing chits. Each speaker will have a set time of 1 minute and 30 seconds. A buzzer will sound to signal when your time is up, so please adhere to the time limit. We kindly ask all participants and the audience to respect the allotted time and request the audience to place their phones on silent mode. It is with great honor that I now declare the URA Writer Panel discussion open. This forum offers a platform for our distinguished guests to explore and deliberate on pertinent issues. May I request Chairman Sir to initiate the discussion.
Namaste to all of you. First and foremost, be a little more relaxed. I see all tense faces which we don't need to have. And then, like I must have told you before, you kind of formulate your thought before speaking because your time is very limited. So, you have to say in a few words what you would say in few sentences. Other than that, be natural, be original. That's what we are looking for. And till this time, the order was not determined. Now it is determined, so you may not have a choice of speaking first or last. We wanted to be fair to everybody. And then time also is fixed. Alright? Can we go ahead? Anybody wants to ask me a question before I ask you something? You can, no problem. Okay, we'll start off. Actually, I don't have any predetermined question. Just I think of something for you all. See, writing has so many dimensions. One of them is playing with words. Okay? When I say playing with words, what I mean is every author has a different meaning to quite a few of the words they use. It is not what is commonly known to all of us. And also, they create new imagery. The word may be the same, but they get new meaning attributed to those words or to those imagery. I would like to know if you have had any experience of that kind. We can think of even now. See, there may be a particular word or a scene or an imagery or image, let's say for your sake. You have a special meaning, you have a different meaning. If there is something like that, can we know? Anybody has got any doubt? It's a little tough. Yes.
So we have to quote an example of...
No, you don't need to quote an example. You can see, you have to talk of some word. So that itself is the example.
Yes.
Okay? Give half a minute for them to think, then we start.
Sure.
Anybody else have any question?
So, sir, are we supposed to quote an incident or a word?
It could be anything. What I mean is, where you have given a different meaning. Normally people have a different meaning. You have attributed or you have given a different meaning to that particular word. He says something like that. Okay, shall we start?
Yes. Venkat?
Venkat. So you have written 3 books. I'm sure you have many. Let's have one.
So, it's a phrase. The word I think is a different meaning. So in the book I published, I put a message to everyone saying that every coin has 2 sides. And what I mean by this is that you should not judge someone because of how they look and what they've done. You should think their backstory and their real intentions of why they've done it. Think about, I'm going to give an example here. Think about a criminal. He has robbed someone. Oh, why? Because he's poor, right? He's poor, that's why he has to rob people. That's the other side of the coin. You should always look at both sides of a coin and then understand the person in that way. That's how I interpret this phrase. Thank you.
Thank you. And for all of you, a word is also a phrase in grammar. Okay.
Aarush?
So for me, it's not really related to like a book or anything, but for me the word night means something very different. So like normally night is like when you would sleep or when you would do some work or it becomes dark. But for me, because I love astronomy, it's like the time when I'm most, you can say, like inspired, because and normally in the night, people will think like that the sun has gone down, but for me, like it's when the world brightens, because I love the stars, and that's when like my thinking really starts to work. So yeah.
So the word or phrase that I most resonate with in terms of this question is the word chaos. It's something that usually has a very negative meaning, and it's just chaotic. But I think that there's a certain beauty in organized chaos. I guess that would be the full term. Like if you take the example of a bazaar, a typical bazaar in any road that we go to, there's just some beauty in it. There'll be people shopping and the hawkers selling their wares, and so many people going around, so many different lives around you. And I think that organized chaos is just a really beautiful thing to think about.
There is a theory called chaos theory of the world. So you may like to read that.
There's an interesting anecdote behind one of Sylvia Plath's poems. I was asked to pick a poem and create an analysis as a part of an assignment. So Sylvia was also an artist. This is a lesser known fact. And one day when she was working on her art, her grandmom, with her apron, she sort of swiped across the table and the art was ruined. I think the word ruined, the way she phrased it in her poem, it stuck with me for days, because it brought me back to a time where when everything is down, so it's a resurgence. When you're at your lowest is when you start to peak, actually, because that's where the slope starts going up. And when she said she was in her ruin, when she said she was in her ruins, I was so thoroughly struck by it that it stayed with me for more than a day. And I think the word in itself was so magical in the sense she used it. It was really special to me.
When you brought up playing with words, I think when you write, you're such a child, you're so vulnerable with your feelings that you bring it out in ways that are so raw, and you're not thinking about what anyone else thinks of you. That's what being a child is. And there's a word called sodad, I don't know the pronunciation. It talks about it's a feeling of melancholy because you're missing something. It's a melancholic absence. I think there's a certain beauty in feeling vulnerable and feeling like something's missing from you. It's like some part of you is gone from you. I think there's a certain beauty in the word sodad. It may mean melancholy and sadness, but I feel like it means that you're feeling something and it humanizes you and makes you feel like you've had something with you for a long time.
I think what you write is a reflection of your personal ideals. My ideal is liberty. I write because I have the liberty to write what I want to write and pen down what I want to pen down. So the word liberty has a very significant meaning to me. It is a pretty significant word either way, but it's a very significant word for me, and because it motivates what I write.
I'd like to bring the light of the meaning of beauty. Beauty has always been accepted as with its face value, but to me, beauty is anything that can bring happiness or will in the future bring happiness. I heard a song where they said it's not only the flower, the blooming flower that brings which has beauty, but also the thorn that warns you of danger, that brings beauty to your actions. And beauty is anything that brings a smile and joy in the future to your face. So beauty should be reconsidered.
It's a very nice line by a very known poet. Beauty is joy forever. Okay.
One word that I think about a lot is the word life. Life is like an umbrella term for anything that's related to the state of existing. But for me, life has two meanings. I consider them life with a lowercase l and life with a capital L. Life with a lowercase l is existing. It's being alive. Maybe for a human, 80 years is their life. That's life with a lowercase l. Life with a capital L, for me, is living your life. Like making the most of it, knowing what you are, what you're doing, making your life better for someone, those 80 years better for you, the 80 years better for everyone else as well. And just making it memorable and worth something is life with a capital L.
I've always had a certain fascination with sad endings to like a story or a movie. I just feel that it sticks with you for so much longer. So I think that everyone knows every dark cloud has a silver lining. But what about behind every silver lining there's a dark cloud? And what exactly like makes a dark cloud a negative thing? A dark cloud could just mean that there's gonna be rainfall. It could be a place that's suffering a drought. Like, why is it that a dark cloud is negative? Why is it that sad things are always seen as negative? It can be seen as like a learning experience. So I've always thought of that phrase in like its opposite sense.
So next question.
Is over?
Yes.
Okay. You want the truth or you want me to tell you something that you like? I'm really thrilled to know that or to see that you all have really made it to this panel by merit, not by luck.
Well, speechless. Have you heard a description, a phrase beyond description? Are you familiar with that? Right, it's beyond description. Your presentation was indeed. I hope you have all come across people saying that we play with the words. Is it really playing with the words? Or should the words be well chosen to convey something as a message? I hope it's clear. It's about selection of words, just not playing, or what it is, according to you. I hope I'm clear. Shall we ponder over?
So you take 30 seconds to think and then we'll call off next.
You want me to repeat the question? See, we normally come across people expressing that maybe authors, let us assume some author, would say, I just play with the words. That's what I do. And finally, I will be done with the composition. Do you really think it's just playing with the words? Or you should wisely choose the words that you would like to use in your composition, which would have message. It's about selection of words or expressions, precisely to say. Does it matter?
Can you start? Can we start now? Asmi?
I completely agree with what you said, ma'am. It's wordplay also. You need to choose your words wisely. I think that it's something that's very contextual. Like, if I take puns, for example, as a form of wordplay, you can't use a science pun in a commerce textbook, for example. it's very contextual, and it also depends on interpretation. I feel like you also need to put yourself in the shoes of your reader and see how they would perceive it, if they would enjoy it. You should write for yourself as well, obviously, but it's really important to see the different perspectives that you will be dealing with.
So I think the difference between playing with words and choosing your words wisely, it really depends on what you want to convey. Like for example, if your strength is writing something with simple words, without using any like complicated or like good vocabulary, maybe that's your strength, and you just want to use simple words, choose your words like simply, instead of like playing with them. But maybe your strength lies in choosing words which don't really directly have a connection with what you're saying, but you still find a meaning and you find a way to connect them. So in that case, you can play with words and make a meaning out of things which don't seem to have a meaning on the surface. So
Amartya?
So when you write something, you want your reader to experience what you are writing. Right? You want them to experience. You want them to feel what is written down. So I think choosing your words wisely will affect that. Will change the audience's perspective. In the end, you want to push a narrative when you write. You want to push something you feel. So if you choose your words cleverly, if you choose your words cleverly, the audience will have a higher chance of relating to what you have written. So see, words on their own are just syllables and letters and sounds. So, but if you place them accordingly, you will get a bigger meaning, a deeper meaning than just these sounds and what they mean on the surface.
So for me, I usually like to play with words because there's always nothing wrong with trying. You can always try with different digital devices, different words, different ways to express your meaning. You can always try to include a poem in your story. There's nothing wrong with that. I really like to play with my words because I can always keep trying and trying. And on the way, after some time, I'm eventually going to get the proper meaning of what I want to say. And I'm going to get it in a fun way, in my own way. So I usually write with the flow, and I always play with my words. Thank you.
For me, writing is a mixture of both playing with words and a selected curation of your words. If you relate it to painting, for example, if there's an abstract painting, it looks like you just keep piling color and it's very messy. To other people, it might seem like that. But there's an art in playing with words too. There's an art in everything. Writing is an art. So even if there's a mess of colors, then the colors that you chose, the way you did it, is what makes it an art. So playing with words, mixed with the curation of the words, is what actually makes the writing good and special.
Yes, ma'am, I completely agree that every word has a really powerful meaning to it, and you have to choose your words wisely or you may convey a wrong meaning. But like Venkat and Chaitra said, there's nothing wrong in trying. If my literature piece is the body, you need like accessories and clothes to go with it to really convey the person who, or if you're going out, the person you are. So with the so many words in our dictionary, you can, like, they're the ornaments of literature and you can always try them on and try to find out which suits you or suits the piece the best. Yeah.
Keep the mic up.
I actually think that when you're playing with words, you're still thinking which word to put. You're still choosing your words wisely, but maybe not putting as much thought as you would if you were consciously trying to put in like a good word. So there's not a very big difference, but there is I do believe that every word, even if it means something similar, it always has like a different connotation. For example, we were talking about fantasy and imagination the other day. They both mean very similar things, but they have a different connotation, both of them. And if you think about alliteration, for example, alliteration is a literary device that usually makes your writing sound so much better. Like, for example, if I were to say turbulent waves versus turbulent tides sounds better. So that is like choosing my words wisely, using tides instead of waves in order to put an emphasis and to get my point across.
So I'll tell you what I think happens. So when you're writing, it's like you're sitting in this little void you made for yourself, and that void is a feeling. And when you're writing about that feeling, it's like you have a certain set of words, but those words, they're your words, they're no one else's words. You may have chosen them before, consciously, but now that they're your words, you don't need to think about it anymore. So when you're sitting in this little void that's your feeling, you're so vulnerable to everything that's happening around you. And no one's gonna sit there and look at, you know what, you're writing like this, you should be like this. Now, inevitably, there will come a time you do need to choose your words, it's inevitable. But when you're writing, it belongs to you. And I think that any writer inevitably does play with his words because they're his words, they're his to do what he wants with them. And I feel like when a writer is in that void, he's a child, and a child will play with his toys that are his words.
I see writing as a game, and I think your biggest asset in the game is your sensitivity. So I think that between playing with your words and choosing your words, they go hand in hand. So I think your aim and your goal should be to figure out when to do what. So it's less of a competition between playing with words and choosing your words, and more of choosing when to play with your words.
Fine. I want to feel the feel that I feel. I want you feel. I want you feel the feel that I feel. Can you get something out of this usage? So, I want to feel the feel that I feel has something to convey. Can anybody guess what it is? There's something to convey in this. Yeah. Speechlessness.
Ma'am, this is a question, right?
No,
Just a
introspection about how to choose words, that's all.
Well, speechlessness is almost impossible to convey, and just even though we have so many words, it's so vague and uninterpreted. Like, everyone has their own kind of speechlessness, speechlessly awed, speechlessly excited. I mean, there's so many ways,
So many things behind. Okay, anybody? It's not going well. Assist. I want your introspective.
So what I think what you mean by a sentence is, like you said, feel 3 times. So I think what you mean is that for whatever you feel, whether it be happiness, sadness, angry, speechlessness, as Gauri said, you want to get the maximum of it. You want to make sure that your entire emotion is that one emotion only. And there might be a deeper meaning inside it, and we have to try to find that.
Okay. Any other?
I think that as a writer, I think one of my assets is my fragility. I think when I break, that's when I do my best work, and I feel like when you're feeling something, it's like there's some people, if your feeling is a hole, and sometimes when you're a person, sometimes some people run away from that hole. Some people are stuck in that hole, and they're like, I need to figure out how to get out of here. That's the whole thought the whole time. But I feel like sometimes there's some people who want to sit there and say, this feeling, I see it, and I want to experience this before I say goodbye to it.
I also want you to experience the same.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think that a feeling is meant to be felt, and that's what I think that I want to feel the feel that I feel. So I want to experience this feeling before I say goodbye to it. That's it.
There's also a sentence that says, not everything feels like something else. So I think when you're in a state where you can't exactly describe what you're feeling, but it's so profound that you want the rest of the world to feel it. Nostalgia, it was a feeling, it was a word, a feeling that the term, the people couldn't place it and they couldn't coin the term until so much later than when people started feeling it, that they would use little slang words and little jargons to try to explain what they were feeling. And I think the beauty of feeling is that it's so hard to put it into words, and I think that's why the beauty of writing comes in.
So in our society, it's if you're seen as being too emotional, it's seen as like a bad thing. And many times we get accustomed to brushing away our feelings and our emotions. So I want to feel the way that I feel. I think is a way to like, it's saying that I don't want to be this stoic anymore. I want to be in touch with my emotions. I want to be in touch with my soul and my inner child and everything that makes me me. I want to know all of it. Right.
I want to feel the feels that I feel.
Yeah.
It conveys something pretty important. Not everything can be defined in a concrete manner, and it's a good thing to just leave it as that. Instead of trying to find meaning in everything, you can just leave it at that and experience what's going on.
I think that phrase has almost like a childish innocence associated with it, because as humans we have so many emotions at the same time, and just like he said, categorizing them is so hard, and sometimes it's also so unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree with most of them, and I agree with all of them. So, there are so many feelings in this world, and sometimes, as she said, it is hard to like categorize them. And sometimes we think of some feelings as negative, and like we may want to like not feel them. But this phrase is basically saying that you want to cherish the emotions that you're feeling. You want to cherish what you feel, and you don't want to run away from them.
Well done. Actually, what I meant to tell you with that is, I want you to feel the feel that I feel. It means that as an author, I would keep this in mind, that I also expect my readers to feel what I feel. And that's when the selection of words come in. Are you getting? I want my authors to understand what I'm saying. I want them also to enjoy the excitement that I go through. That's where the selection of words matter. And as you said, playing with words maybe, it might confine you, it's because, see, some of you express that you can play with words, it's because it's your asset. Who said someone? So anyway, yes, it might be. But playing with words might be confining you to yourself. Just play with that. Please understand, the piece of literature is not piece of literature, but it can be a source of peace for someone. Are you getting? So selection of words matter a lot, and expressions as well. That's what I feel. I think I'm done. I conveyed what it means. Thank you.
So from playing with words, you have gone to playing with feelings. Good. You all feel that you are a writer. That's something very nice. I could see that you all feel that you are a writer. Once you feel that, then your brain will do something to ensure that you are a good writer. Okay. With that, we'll give a chance to Alankrita and Shreya a little later. Sonali ma'am knows you, I think, from your first grade or something like that. Ma'am, would you like to ask him something?
Sure, sir. It was lovely to hear all of you and such fresh perspectives, and along with ma'ams and sirs. My question for you is, you write, you read, right? You have been reading and writing. What is it when it comes about reading or writing, that facet that interests you or intrigues you the most? And you have to give examples and explain. Thank you.
You understood the question?
So my question is, which facet of writing and reading intrigues you the most?
So we'll give them 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Gauri?
A writer, when writing a piece, or I would like to say story, there are so many elements: the character, the setting, the personality, like not only the personality but the way the person expresses their personality comes into play when writing a story. But the thing that intrigues me the most is how an author knits all of these together to make a reader engage. I mean, even my writing, I believe to be is engaging, but like if I want to quote Agatha Christie's mystery novels, they are so unbelievably intriguing and unable to guess who the murderer might be is such an art and skill put into writing that particular mystery. So I think perhaps this element of suspense and plot twists are the most intriguingly hard and exceptional to make.
Aarush?
So I've been reading since I was a child, and for me, what intrigues me the most about like a book is that it's so powerful in the sense that it can change the way you think. And so, for example, if you take like one of the first books I read, Harry Potter, so it introduced me to the world of fantasy, and then from there you start thinking of things which are not real, which may be like completely different from what you used to think before. So it opens up like a new world, a new like realm of possibilities. So yeah, the most intriguing part is its power to change the way you think.
Aashna?
What I enjoy about reading and writing is how you get transported to a completely different world. It may draw parallels with our world, but it is so different. You become one with the characters. And in writing, there's a different like feeling that you have made that world, and yet it's different to your situation. This is like your creation, and like with reading, it's so fascinating. It's like a power that authors have to create an entirely different world of their own, with their own people and their own logic and their own rules, everything. And it's just so amazing to think about. One book that I had read like a while back was Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and it completely captivated me. I was the characters. I was in that world. It's like a backstory to the Queen of Hearts. So I was in Wonderland. I was in that kingdom, and it was just such an amazing experience. And it's like this anytime I read or write, and it's just so amazing to feel.
One thing that I always love to do or to read is creating unconventional ways of writing, to create a world or characters that aren't just black and white and they're multi-dimensional. For example, in the book Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, there's no hero, there's no villain, there's just protagonist and antagonist, and they're all righteous, they're all doing what they think is right. And maybe that hurts someone else. Maybe they're doing it for the money or for revenge or for whatever feels right to them. But it all shows the different perspectives in the psychology of a person's mind and what makes them different from everyone else. No character is the same.
I think something I've noticed with every piece I've read is that writing, it can do two things. It will either completely destroy you or it will give you hope. I'll give you an example. So Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. He was sitting there. He didn't do anything. He just fell. He's broken. You're broken. You're sitting there. Someone's trying to help you, but they can't. They can't do it. It's such a reality. You've given hope that someone is going to try, but it's also destroying you that maybe it doesn't always work. It doesn't always happen. And that's what I think the beautiful thing about writing is. It will either give you hope or it will destroy you.
Before a child can speak, he's forced to listen, and before a person can write, I think they're forced to read. I think that when you read, you're forced to listen. You're forced to have an empathy, a compassion. You're forced to take in everything that's being said, whether you like it or not. And when you write, you're forced to speak, you're forced to express. I think what I find most beautiful about reading and writing is how they're completely different experiences, and yet you can never experience one truly without experiencing the other.
I think like everyone here, initially when I got into reading and writing, the thing that intrigued me most was the fantastical aspect of books and the imagination and just getting transported into another world. But I think as I'm growing up, the thing I most value in reading and writing is perspective. I feel like I've spoken about this a lot already in the 2 or 3 questions you've had, but I just think it's so important to, like when you read something and you can see things from multiple perspectives. If a character did this, why did they do it? How did they do it? What was going on in their head? I'll take an example. There's a book called Wonder, which is a really beautiful book and very heartwarming about a disfigured child going to school for the first time after being homeschooled. And the entire book is written in perspectives of different characters in the protagonist's life. And it was just, I first read it probably when I was 11 years old, and it was a revelation for me to see so many perspectives on the same story. And even now when I read a book or I try to write something, it makes my brain itch in the best way to think about all of these different perspectives on the same thing.
Did you know video games were initially invented to actually make kids escape from the reality? Because the reality is harsh. But the better way to escape from reality is books. When I was reading a book, I used to enter the world of books and I felt like I could never come out. I mean, come on, reading a book was just the best thing that I could ever do in the entire day. And it would felt like 5 seconds, but apparently when my mother called me, it was 30 minutes. So I didn't know that. And so the best thing about reading books and writing them is that you can escape the real world and get to another world, the world of books. If literature and if an empty book was a bathtub, then all its faucets would be its words and its devices that will be put into it. Thank you.
One thing that intrigues me about writing is how uniquely powerful it can be. Not just powerful, sometimes it can be kind of deadly. So writing, the mere ability to just put words together gives people voice, gives people a voice. It makes people, it creates a sense of belief. It pushes an opinion, it makes people change their views, it makes people see something different. If someone can write well, it gives the people power, it gives a sort of momentum to a certain goal. Sometimes the ability to write has fallen into wrong hands too. Like that has caused a great deal of destruction in history. But just the mere ability that almost everybody has, it's almost a double-edged sword. It can be very good and it can be very bad.
Sonali ma'am, what's your comment on your question and answers?
Yeah, it was interesting to listen to all of them. Many of them could relate to characters, settings, and they could bring out a profound revelation from their side. That's awesome. Anything you would like to ask?
Wonderful. So, I'm sure you are doing a lot of things which you did not plan to do or you thought you would not be able to do. Sure? Okay. We'll give a chance to Alankrita now to ask one round. Then we'll go to Sangita ma'am. Then we'll go to Shreya. Then we'll see how we conclude. Done? I'm giving you time to think about it.
So it was very, very interesting to study everybody. Each and every answer, it forced me to think what I would have said. And this is what my question is going to be for you. So whenever I read a certain piece, let us say there's this book, it's called To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a beautiful literary book, very beautiful. So when I started reading it, I had a thought, what if I was a character in the book? What would I have done to change the story? Could I have saved the character's life? I could have played a major role, or I would have had the side character do something. One more example is, I had a discussion with my father the other day, and it was about Hitler. So we all know about the Jews and what Hitler did to them. And my question to my dad was, what if we were the Jews? What would we have done? Would we follow Hitler? Would we do what he would have said? So my question to you guys is that whatever your favorite book is, your favorite character, if you had a chance to help them, to be part of the story, how do you change it? Would you make it according to yourself, or would you just go with the flow? How would you make it uniquely yours? That's my question to you guys.
I'll give you 30 seconds and then 1 minute. Sure.
That's a very dumb question. They want 1 minute.
So I think this question is specifically for the pieces you've read, so that you'd be able to resonate, and also I need book recommendations over here. So.
In the book, do I know that what do you know that
This I leave it according to you. So let's just say that you are new in the place. You do not know what's happening, but the power is with you. You have time in your hands. You have the power to change, and that's what you have to think about right now.
One question. Are we a different character or are we one of the characters?
No, the answer.
You are not one of the characters in the book. You itself are a character in the book.
So are we like God? Are we controlling?
Too many questions. I think you should leave it to them to give their perspective.
The way you
Yeah, so this is a very interpretative question. So you could either be the main character, you could help the main characters, you could control the story, but this is in your hands, and I'll leave this to you.
10 seconds and then I'll start taking objects.
So one book I recently read is Artemis Fowl and the Time Paradox. I really like the book. It's not kiddish at all. It's actually for our good age. So basically, it's about a book where there's a young genius around 13, 14 years old. He has a mind of Albert Einstein, even better, and he goes seeks out something, fairies. Now, of course, you might think fairies are something else, as like some kiddish thing. No, these fairies are armed. they have weapons with them. So he asks for gold, and he asks for gold from the fairies, and so that he can be rich. So in the time paradox, basically his mother is sick, and there's only one thing that can help his mother, which is a lemur. So he needs a lemur to help his mother, but he's killed the lemur when he was 10. So that's the problem, and so with his friends, he had to go back in time and had to save the lemur. So I would interpret myself as another character with them. I really love to go time travel with them and actually help them get the lemur back without any dangers. I would also change that he doesn't ask for gold and he asks for something else. He asks for the reality of life, because fairies are not everything. So if we could ask the fairies why have humans become like this and how we can change, I think that's what I would inspire it to do, so we could ask. And so that's what I would do if I was a character in Artemis Fowl. And I really suggest you all read it. Thanks.
So many of you might have read the book 1984 by George Orwell. So I simply, if I were in the timeline, if I could control Winston, I'd tell him to go to that room and to check behind the painting, because there is a telescreen behind the painting. When he sees that, I would ask him to go rent another place. Please do not get tortured and change your views entirely.
I don't really have a favorite book as such. I will give that disclaimer. I feel like every book I read, I just assume that's my favorite. But I will take a constant example. I think we all love Harry Potter. Now, if the entire scenario happened like in real life and I was a part of it, I would be running around absolutely panic-stricken. Don't get me wrong, I can handle crises, but if a random bald, noseless guy was trying to kill my friend, I don't think I could handle that. But that's the beauty of books. If I was a character in Hogwarts, I could be whoever I wanted to be. I could have saved Harry Potter. I could kill Voldemort. I could have turned back time and saved this entire book from even happening. I think that that's the beauty of it. That you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. There are absolutely no limits.
Even I don't have a particular favorite book, but I like to quote like situations instead. In many books have different situations. That's why. So if there was war and if many people were dying for no particular reason, then if I was a character, I would naturally go and say help fight the war. But if I was in a book which was very one-on-one based, like Harry and Voldemort's duel was not to be meddled with. Otherwise, I feel I would ruin the originality of the book itself. If I were to come back and read what I had done in the book, I would really feel bad. Oh no, I messed with the plot. I made this book less interesting. I would feel very guilt-stricken. But if I was a person who would go and save and really convey a message of inspiration, then everyone wants to see light in their own work. So naturally, I would like to do something which would help benefit society, change their views on a particular topic, if I could. So yes.
Aarush?
So again, even I don't really have a favorite, and she already took Harry Potter. So I'll take Percy Jackson. So as you know, in Percy Jackson, I wouldn't exactly call him a villain, because I feel like his intentions were actually right. So Luke, and if I were a character, if I just killed him, that wouldn't solve anything. Because at the end of the day, what he thinks is right. The gods do ignore everyone. So a better way would be probably to befriend Luke and try to explain to him that your intentions are right, but the means you want to do it are wrong. So you need to think about a better way to put across your points.
There's a book, it's called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and it's basically a Chinese history retelling fantasy. So if I were there, okay, so I don't have much common sense. So if I was actually there, I would be the first one to die. But so I'm going to imagine myself not as one of the characters, but as the main character's mind. Her name is Fan Junin, and I'm her mind. So I can give her common sense. So in chapter 21, so anyway, there's a country, Nikkara. Nikkara is China, and there's the Federation of Mugen, which is Japan. So Japan attacks China, Mugen attacks Nikkara. So in chapter 21, there's a really brutal attack. They come, then they just massacre every single person in an entire city. And there were so many signs saying that that would happen. So if I were her mind, I would tell her to go quickly to stop the war because she's really powerful. She can do flame stuff. So she could go and kill all the Mugen people, which she did anyway later in the book. So if you just did it before, so many people would be saved.
I think that any book you, I think right now, right here, in all of our stories, we're the main character. So I think that if I was in a book, I would be my own main character. It doesn't matter if the reader sees me as a side character or as the antagonist or as anything, because as far as I'm concerned, it's all in my hands and it's all under my control. I'd like to take the example Asmi gave a few rounds ago of Wonder. The book really took me on a ride because it was told through multiple perspectives. So 1 minute I was Augie himself, I was the disfigured kid, and then the next I was Olivia, I was his sister. And I think what made the book so special to me, what made the reading in first perspective special, is that even though I was just reading words out of a page, it was my story to tell, it was a part of me. And so I think if I was in a book, I think I am kind of a control freak, so I would really enjoy the main character being the main character.
I want to see this question. Oh my god, I've thought a lot about this up to now, and honestly, I can't think of one particular book or anything along with a lot of these people. So I feel like there are multiple instances I could take where I want to be my own character as any spectator. I just want to be part of the book. I want to see what I would do. There's a quote from a book called The Perks of Being a Wallflower called We Accept the Love We Think We Deserve. And I feel like if I was part of that book, I just started thinking, what do I deserve? It's what I would think. I don't know what the character thought, it's what I would think. In Metamorphosis, Franz Kafka, if I woke up one day as a cockroach, do I want to even stay at home? Will I just go outside? I feel like I want to be some sort of spectator or some part of the book that exists as my own person. Maybe they can see me, maybe they can't. I just want to know how I would react. I want to feel what they're feeling. I just want to know what is going on.
I also do not have a favorite book, but to continue with the example that I'd given before, Heartless by Marissa Meyer. As I had said in my first answer, I have a certain fascination with sad endings. This book is like the textbook definition of having a sad ending. I cried for so long after I read this book. After I finished the book, I was thinking that the decision this main character made was like, why would you do this? Why would you ever think of this? But then I started thinking, if I was in that situation, I would have also made the same decision. Basically what happened was they had to go to another kingdom. But she realized that one of her friends is about to be killed. That friend had previously betrayed her, and she was thinking, should she go and save that friend? Or should she leave? Because there was a previous prophecy that if they don't leave, then someone else will die. And then she thought, I can go and quickly save my friend, and then we can all escape. But then one of the characters died, and he was my favorite character. So I was thinking, if I was her, I would never even think about saving that friend. that was my reaction when I first read it. But then a day later, after I'd gotten over the grief of that character's death, I started thinking, that girl was such a close friend to her. How can you possibly just leave her? So I think in this, it's always a different situation when you're looking at the book as an outsider versus when you are the character.
Okay. Now, Sangita ma'am, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, before you all started, I loved the energy you all was spreading to each other, and you're all standing here and saying that we promise we are going to be the dream team. So you are a dream team right now. So we are still a few steps away from being the dream team. But it's been an absolute pleasure and joy to be listening to you all. You all have evolved so much. So thank you so much for giving us this joy. So I'm going to take away a little bit of your joy and put you in dilemma right now. So I was tossing between a couple of questions, but so one thing which came to my mind after listening to all your answers is going to be very simple, not anything which will need more than 30 seconds. So let's assume you get this opportunity to write your autobiography. What would the title be and why? You set the bar so high. So, okay, so is the question clear? Straightforward? So 1 minute?
I'm sure they are ready. You have to take those.
Can I start or? The last 30 seconds. Time's up. Nithya.
In the 1 minute and a few seconds I had, I think the only thing that seems fitting enough would be my own name. Because I think as a person, and I think everyone as a person is so chaotic and so, it's such an abstract mosaic that it's so hard to find a title that I think would describe my whole life, except my own name.
Gauri?
Well, I would like to give myself many titles. I think I would like to name it Thoughts, because I feel that my thoughts are who I am, and my thoughts have evolved over the challenges I've faced, and they've made me who I am. And I'm an ordinary person, but I like to think of myself as extraordinary, so I am an extraordinary person. So your thoughts are so crucial in sending a message to the world of how what you think will make you who you are is such a crucial message. And I feel I've come a long way, and I've always kept growing, and I will continue to keep growing. And I feel I can change the world to make it very positive and hopeful.
If I wrote an autobiography, its title would be Forward. Forward because honestly nothing is ever enough. I don't know, it's not just for me, but for most people as well. Like, once there's something, there's always going to be something more. There's always something to look forward to, something to not look forward to, something in the future that you want to achieve. And I don't think for any person there's a cap to how much you can achieve, how much you can try, how much you can do. So for me, it's forward, because to look forward, to go forward and be forward.
My name is Amartya, which means immortal. So that means if I were to publish an autobiography, I will publish it after I die. That's the beauty of it. It's ironic. That's the beauty of it. I like the mere idea of taking two things that are polar opposites of each other and then putting it together. That's the beauty of the way I think.
So when I think about like myself, I think I've repeated this a lot, but like what makes me the most excited is astronomy. So, and I love the stars a lot, and when I'm looking at the stars, stargazing, that's when like my inspiration, my thoughts, they all come. So like the best thoughts that I have are in the night. So my autobiography title would be Lost in the Stars.
So, off the top of my head, when I thought of this question, I thought of this exclamation I read before. It's called flippity gibbet. It's sort of an exclamation to talk about I've done a lot of really crazy, stupid things in my life, and I feel like I know there's my friends in the audience. I feel like they're thinking right now, yeah, you totally have, we know. So I feel like when someone look at my autobiography, I don't want them to see me as a picture perfect. I want them to know, I want to look at the title, I want to look at the book, and I want them to think, what is this? Because I feel like sometimes things I do, a lot of people look at me like that. You're like, what are you doing? So I want to call my autobiography Flippity Gibbet. It's to express that craziness and insanity.
First of all, I would not really like to publish my own autobiography. I would not want people to read about my life and think about me. But if I had to, because of this question, I would name it The Boy Who Dreamed to Go Back to His Early Years. Because when I was young, I also want to be grow up, and I'm going to be an adult. I feel like I also want to go back to my early years. So I want to be part of my early years because that was the best time in my life. Because I didn't have to stress about marks. I didn't have to stress about, I have to go to Ireland, I have to do this, I have to go cycle, I have to exercise. No, I was small and I had absolutely no cares. I can enjoy my life the way it has to be. So that's why I would name my autobiography like that.
So I have two alternative titles for my potential autobiography. For the first one, I'd actually go back to my first answer towards the Sir's question, which I would name my autobiography Chaos. Because, that's what life is. It's messy and chaotic, and you never know what's coming. And I think it's just a very apt way to put my entire life into one word if I have to. And the second title I would choose is Unending. So this has two reasons behind it. Firstly, I think it would just be a really ominous title, and it would be really intriguing to see what people would think of the book based on just the title. And secondly, there's a Steven Spielberg movie called The Fabelmans, and in the movie there's this line, we've gone too far in our story to really say the end. And that really stuck with me because, even after we all go, somebody will remember us. There's always something that you will leave behind. So, unending. A part of us is always here.
If I were to write an autobiography, I name it The Everything Life of a Nobody. Because as humans, we think that everything that happens to us is so important. We are the most important. Everyone is like dependent on us. We seem to think that way, but in reality, we're all nobodies here. If I were to die tomorrow, I don't want to, but if I were to die tomorrow, then a very small, like not a lot of people would be affected. There would be people who are affected, my family, my friends, people who know me. But it's such a small percentage in what is all around us. So I am a nobody, but I feel like my life has everything. Like I feel like everything, but I am a nobody, and I just think that that's such a beautiful dichotomy, and I would name my autobiography.
It's wonderful. Maybe you all should finish writing your autobiography by tomorrow, so that you all can read. Now, before I go to Shreya, I have a suggestion to you. You all write a kind of at least 10-line lyric about yourself and put it to music and sing it, we'll hear it. Okay, I am serious. Maybe at least a few of you will do. It'll be nice. Over to Shreya.
Alright, so that was very interesting, so that all the perspectives. My question to you, okay, so we live in a world where artificial intelligence is a very strong creative contender. In your opinion, what separates a piece of work created by a human as opposed to content generated by AI? So what makes personal work personal? What makes something human?
Amartya.
AI in its current state is learning from other published works on the internet. So it scours through the internet, it sees something that other people has written, takes a bit of it, and then puts it together. So it's a mishmash of different authors in one text. So it involves the styles of different authors, the wordplay of different authors all together. That is why I think that's what separates the AI from an original piece, because it lacks that uniqueness. It is a combination of multiple people, and your unique writing is just you. It's just how you write and the way you think. That's why when I use ChatGPT, I have to clean up after it for 15 minutes. So it's not the most efficient thing. So it's better to write it yourself, because that's where you have total control over the way you put things together.
Aashna? The fourth subject that I chose in school is psychology. So the reason I chose psychology is because I've always wondered where our mind fits into our brain. Now the thing that separates humans and AI is that we have this mind, this separate thing. It's not just commands. We're not just doing stuff. We're thinking and we're feeling. AI doesn't have that. AI is just commands. So I feel like that is what separates like a writing a piece by a human versus a piece by AI, because we truly feel what we're writing. We truly experience emotions, and that is such an integral part of everybody's lives. Our mind, our soul. But AI doesn't have that mind or that soul, so it won't. A piece by AI may still be good, but it won't reflect like human experience as a piece by a human would.
I think AI lacks familiarity. Like, I'd say if I know a person, then to know that person is to know what they're thinking. Not specifically. You're not telepathic. You know what they've done, what they might do, and what they've been through. And I feel like when someone an outsider comes in and you're like, you don't know what I'm talking about. I barely know you. And I feel like it's similar for feelings and experiences. A person truly knows an experience. A person truly knows what happens. And that's why a person can interpret that experience or feeling in so many different ways. When you tell an artificial intelligence, write a poem about happiness, it will take it literally, of course, but happiness can mean so many different things to many people. Sometimes happiness to me is feeling sad or sitting around doing nothing. In AI, I can't really think of that because in AI knows happiness to be one true thing. I think AI lacks interpretation and familiarity.
Do you know the best part of being a human? It might be negative to people, which is their mistakes. Humans make mistakes, and that's what differentiates them with AI. Because of our mistakes, we know, oh, that piece is definitely human. Because I might put "and" in the front of a sentence, and you would know it was made by me and not by AI. Because AI can't make mistakes, even if they wanted to. If I told them to make a 500 word essay, they would give some complex words and you would immediately know by the interjection itself it's AI generated because its words are not the ones we typically use. You would easily know if something's personal by just telling it yourself because you make mistakes. With mistakes we improve and we learn. But that also shows that human authenticity. Thanks.
First of all, there's AI cannot have an original idea. There's nothing that an AI can create that wasn't recycled from other writers, as previously said. And second, they don't have the capacity to feel. They can't. They haven't been through anything, as every human has. They haven't been able to feel. They haven't been in touch with what's going on. They don't know how to write a story that can actually connect to people, because they don't know people's minds. They only know what they've been taught. So AI doesn't have the capacity to be meaningful to anyone.
So I think there are two main things which make something human as compared to an AI. The first one is that what the AI does, it just takes styles, it takes data which is already given to it, and then it combines it and it finds something, it creates something. But as a person, if you're writing something, over the years you develop some style, something unique to you, which you're going to use again and again. And that unique thing is what makes you you. It's what makes your pieces so specialized and original. It's that one strength which you keep doing over and over again. But the AI can't do this because it just mixes everything. So, and the second thing, Venkat already covered this, but it's that the AI is made to be perfect. But humans, we are imperfect. And that's not a bad thing. The imperfections are what make us human, and we should embrace it.
Yes, ma'am. Now, every word is a dichotomy. Like, if I were to give Robert Frost's poem to everyone here, everyone would interpret it in like so many different ways. But AI simply takes words at its face value, but humans have a deeper meaning, a deeper connection with deeper emotions and deeper ideas and thoughts. So AI lacks that ability to give an insightful, deeper connection to a piece of literature. And this is what like throughout your years, this is what you gain. And when you write your experience. So this, I think, is what makes human writing the most special.
I actually have two perspectives on this topic. The way Amartya said it, at least, was something that really resonated with me, because AI basically makes an amalgamation of hundreds of different writing styles and puts it all together to create a new story. I mean, it's entirely unethical and ridiculous that the original authors get no credit. But I think it's really interesting and intriguing that all of these authors, they made a story about something different, and they had different feelings behind it, a different thought process. The entire plot is different, but it all came together to make one entirely new story, which I think is interesting to note. But it's not the same. When C.S. Lewis said that you don't have a soul, you are a soul, you just have a body. And I think when people write, when they're truly in the zone and they write, they pour out their soul onto a piece of paper or a document nowadays, and they write what they feel. There are emotions. They write about what they've experienced, what they've seen, about what they've loved, what they've disliked, and all of that comes together to create a new plot, a new story. Fiction or non-fiction, a poem, it doesn't matter. A piece of writing is a part of the author's soul. And that is something that AI can never replace. There's just an individuality that no machine could ever comprehend, no matter how advanced it gets.
By definition, AI is a tool, and a tool is something we use to help us achieve a task. And I think what makes human writing special is that it's not something we can do when it's assigned to us as a task or a command. It's rather something we do at 3 in the morning and 2 in the morning when our thoughts know no bounds. And I think that the second that AI starts to try to emulate this, it fails. Because its writing is generated as a result of a command, as a result of an ask, and it's never truly because it wants to. And I think that this desire, this need to write, this need to express, humans are such social, expressive, and absolutely creatures filled with emotion. I think this is something that AI will not be able to attain.
Any word of comment, Shreya?
Very interesting insights, first of all. If I had this question last year on the panel, I would have said something along the lines of what you all said, but I would have also added compassion, empathy, the ability to relate to what people feel, which I think has also been pretty much covered, so well said, everyone.
Now, would you like to have one more round?
Why not, sir?
How are we doing time-wise?
So we can have one more question.
No, then we'll have 2 questions. I have a short question.
Sure, sir.
Ma'am will have a long question.
Okay. So you can have
Fine. See, there are some predetermined notions that everybody would exist. So, do you prefer to go by some of the notions that are already existing in society? Say, for example, an author should be shouldering the responsibility of taking care of society is a notion. It's a predetermined notion that an author has the responsibility of directing the society. Do you think so? Or the author is just to enjoy, he does his work just to enjoy himself or herself? Or, to precise my question furthermore, I want you to introspect on, all authors have the responsibility to shoulder up to direct the society towards what it should be. Do you have the responsibility as such, being authors? Think the societal element that you have to bring in your work. I hope it is clear.
30 seconds.
as an author, like as a writer, after reading so many pieces, after thinking about so many ideas, you realize that nothing is ever right. You can only influence people with your ideas by exposing them to it. Like revolutions in history have happened because of philosophers' ideas being exposed to society. So you can only express and provide hope, and hope is a very interesting factor because hope is what drives everyone to do the work they do because they have faith and hope in what they believe to be living for. So I would try to spread the message of hope and that nothing is ever right.
So you take the responsibility of preparing people to be optimistic or pessimistic in that case?
No, open-minded.
That's obviously after being optimistic? Obviously.
Yeah.
You must say, I will prepare people to be optimistic all the way. Right, very nice.
Asmi?
Obviously, there's nothing wrong in writing for fun. Writing is just a medium. I think there shouldn't be any constraints. You're free to do whatever you want. Pen down your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, whatever. And yeah, writing is an extremely powerful tool. Like Ivana said in a previous round, it can destroy or it can create hope. It can make or break dynasties. I'll take a literary example. In 1984, which I think you spoke about earlier, the literature in that dystopian world was heavily restricted. Why? Because it can create such incredible revolutions in history. Every year we learn about some of the other book that was published or restricted because there is such power. People read a book or they hear about a book and it just makes you think, it makes you ponder. And that's inevitable. When you read a book, I'm pretty sure every single one of us, we've all thought about it, thought about the plot, the characters, and maybe not in that much depth, but we've all pondered upon it. And it's just, it's a really powerful tool, and I think writers definitely have some degree of responsibility. There is obviously, like you said, Gauri, there's no right or wrong, there's obviously a gray area in between, but I think everyone should have the freedom to write their own opinions, and who knows that those opinions might be the spark of a revolution or something.
You have heard about Peace and War by Leo Tolstoy. It's just not a mere depiction of what is peace and war. It is something across the humanity. Have you gone through that? So that's where we have to think about the responsibility of an author. It is just not merely going through the words or just having fun across, having puns, figures of speech, literary devices, genres. It's all true. But what makes you more efficient and productive is to be useful to the society, right? So we have to think about that as an element in our works, is what I feel. Yes.
I thought about what you just said right now, about how there's so many elements to this. And I think the first time when you gave this question, I thought about the fact that sometimes it's not the writer's responsibility, but it's the writing's responsibility. When a writer writes something, let's talk about Animal Farm by George Orwell. It was his responsibility to write what he felt. Maybe he was trying to convey a political point of view, maybe he wasn't. But the writing, it undertook a responsibility in the society so far that it got banned in a few places. That was the writing's responsibility. We don't truly know what Orwell was thinking at the time. And I feel like right now that you told there's so many elements to consider. There's an ethical point of view where, of course, when writing is a powerful tool for some people, less for some others. And I feel like it depends on how you want to use that weapon. So I feel like ethically there are many responsibilities that a writer should undertake. But I'm choosing to look at it as a raw state that it is the writer's responsibility to say what he's feeling, to put out what words he wants to put out, and I'm telling you this right now, it is your responsibility right now to take what I'm telling you and tell me that, maybe I agree with this, maybe I don't. It's your responsibility to take it whether you agree or not. It's not mine anymore.
So when you have a notion, or many notions as we said, it's not an absolute rule. So it is possible that you can think about why the notion was created. Why is it that people have said this thing which everyone follows? If you can understand that, then maybe you can also understand when to break the notion. So coming to writing, writing is obviously a very powerful tool and it can change history a lot. And what you write, sometimes it changes the opinions of so many people and like sparks revolutions, as we already have so much evidence of that. So I think when you are writing, it is important that you shouldn't have restrictions. You should put out what is in your mind. It's your responsibility to do that. Be free with yourself. But at the same time, there are some ethical aspects which you have to be careful about.
Okay, so like Asmi said, there's nothing wrong with writing for fun. There's nothing wrong with writing without having a purpose of trying to motivate people, just writing for the story. But also, not just writers, everyone in the society has a responsibility to benefit. It has to benefit it and to improve it. And writers are one of those people who have a medium to portray, to influence people, motivate them, inspire them, to make them feel something. And not just writing, but the arts in general, all of them have the aspect of making people feel something and making them feel something for everyone else in the society as well, to better the society. So I feel that the writers should tread the line carefully between motivating people and telling them their opinions of what they should do and what they should believe, rather than make them feel that they should do what they believe is right.
Aashna?
I believe that the art of writing is a multi-faceted, like holistic. So there's so much that writing entails. Like Asmi said, there's nothing wrong in writing for fun. Some people write for fun, some people write to portray a deeper message, a deeper meaning. I think that many times it was not the author's intention to portray some sort of deeper message. They were just, as was mentioned before, pouring out their soul onto that piece of paper, and other people, the audience, interpreted it as as conveying a message. There's just so much that happens when you're writing, like in what you're thinking of. Sometimes you're not trying at all. You're just writing down what you're thinking, and sometimes you're specifically trying to portray a certain message. So that's what I believe.
So I feel like this is kind of the questions I would get in my English test as a long answer question. So ma'am has given option A, yes, and option B, no. And I'm gonna come here and put option C, both. Because authors, they have a choice. They can either put out a message to everyone and so that they can follow that, or they can just write for fun. Because when I was writing my book, I had the idea of just writing for fun. I was like, oh, let me just write a book, I'll give it to my friends. For fun, I just wanted to keep going and going. But then at the end of the day, at the end of the book, I was like, well, I portrayed a message. The message was, for every coin there's two sides. So it's always the author's choice, and as someone said before, a notion isn't a rule. So if you want, you don't have to follow it. But if you want to, you can always follow it. So I'll choose option C, both.
So the state of condition of Robert Frost, sitting on a fence. Where do I go? Keep sitting on a fence? Have you heard of this? Robert Frost says sitting on a fence. He would be having two choices, again in dilemma, he'd be sitting on fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want me to sit on a fence then?
Well, you have, again, the Robert Frost has a choice. He can either sit on the fence, he could go left, he could go right, or he can sit on that fence.
C.
Huh?
Option C also.
Yeah, there's options. There's always an option C, option D, option E for everything that there's not.
I can go back. Can go back.
Go back, yeah, you can go back.
When you're a baby, before you know your name, you know the lyrics to nursery rhymes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, Humpty Dumpty. And I think that this is something that illustrates the sheer power of literature in people's lives. For the second round of URA, we were asked to create a nursery rhyme with an educational meaning behind it, something that would teach children and anything that you thought was important. And I think that I found this question, I think this was my favorite question in the paper, because I realized that writing doesn't have to be a huge novel or a philosophical excerpt, or it's anything that you use to change people's minds, it's anything that you use to express yourself. And so I do think that as a writer, you do shoulder a lot of responsibility in how society is shaped. But at the same time, I think that this is also in its way its own freedom. It's less of a notion and less of a rule and more of a choice you can make. And I do think that you do have responsibility as a writer.
I think one of the central tenets of writing is liberty. You have the liberty to put your words together. You have the liberty of creative liberty. So I think all authors have to stay true to one thing, the central tenet of liberty, because without liberty you can't be creative. So this certain obsession with holding people accountable, holding people, giving you're so responsible for what you say, etc., is might go a bit too far into the realm of restricting your creative liberty. Like in the recent years, there's a phenomenon called cancel culture, where people go after creativity, when creativity is punished because it is offensive or whatnot. So I think authors do have some form of responsibility, but I don't think society has to punish them for what they say.
In fact, to say, if you can just think about the process that you had just before, that's what sets notion in the society. What is the notion that you said now is, author need not have any confinements, right? See, the notion which I presented before you was a notion set by the people, so-called people earlier. The notion that you said for the society now is, author can be flexible, can have liberty, can have freedom to enjoy, right? Are you getting how the notions are set? Based on the mindset existing among us. That's all it is all about. Are you getting? Thank you.
We have been talking a lot. I did not say it is meaningless, it is very meaningful. Let's see, this will be the final round or finale. You have to ask a question. And there is a qualification of the question. It has to be a haunting question. And if it has been haunting you, it is wonderful. Or think of a question that can haunt somebody. Okay? You got it? Anybody gets frightened with a haunting question? You're all fine? Okay.
30 seconds?
It's basically a question that you think about a lot and you never got to go down.
Yes. It's a question, it's your question.
Asmi.
So my question is kind of vague, but I think it will be something along the lines of, why do humans do what they do? Now I know I'm interested in psychology as like a hobby, and I've read a lot of articles and stuff like that, and there are a lot of theories and explanations for the various actions that humans take, but at the same time there's something that just doesn't go explained. There's some innate thing that we humans have, and I just don't understand. Like why do we do what we do? It's a very vague question, and I know that there might be an answer somewhere, but it's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. So.
Oh, That's not a vague question, that's a very deep question. So keep thinking about it.
So a question that I've been thinking about for a very long time now is very simple. Who are you? Because it's not your name, it's not your species, it's not your position in society. It's who you are, and I have never found an answer for that question. Because if you think about the world in another way, let's say none of this is true. Like all of our history has been imagined, and one person is the center of the world, and the entire world has been created for their lifetime. So they're here, and it's going to stop when they're done, and then it's going to start again when they're alive. So it's about that one person. It's like in a video game, and the character, the main person, the player is, the backstory was programmed in. It didn't actually happen. And our war, nothing was real. It's just something that people have been saying to make it make more sense. So if that's true, then that one person's life is what the world is. It's what all of existence is. But if it's not true, then everyone has a life, and everyone's life revolves around each other like a very complicated Venn diagram. So if that's true, then if you do anything, if you don't do anything, then it doesn't matter. So who are you, and why are you here?
I think the question which you asked is pretty haunting in itself, to be honest. I can't. So, I think one of the questions was, are you sure? And I think the ability to not doubt yourself and to be so clear about what you're thinking in itself is so powerful, because you tell someone something, if I tell you something, and you ask me, are you sure? You're asking me to rethink what I'm thinking. You're saying, can I really trust you on this? Are you really saying what you're saying? I feel like so many times you're thinking, so some people ask you like, what's wrong with you? Sometimes you're thinking, what's right with me really? So when you're asking me, are you sure? I'm just thinking, what's right with me? Am I saying what I'm saying? Can you trust me? I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting your ability to trust me.
What's your question?
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Actually, I wanted to qualify the question that it cannot be an yes or no question. Can you modify it?
Can I pass it on?
Okay, let's go. Fine.
Venkat? So I'm going to say about two things over here. So this is not going to be my question, but I was wondering this yesterday when I was doing math. Why is the ink of pen always blue? Like, have you ever thought of this? Why is it always blue? So I went up and I googled it, and I saw that it's because it helps in giving an imprint in your brain, and actually it proves authenticity. And it looks good when teachers actually correct it. That's why it's always blue and it's not black. So the real question over here, what I'm asking to all of you are, why are things the way they are? In physics, we've always learned atoms can't be created nor destroyed. So how are we here? Why are we here? Like, as a question, why are we here? What are we for? And a question also I would like to add, which is concerning about literature. What is the real meaning of literature? Is it just books, novels, grammar, words, A, B, C, D, F, G, or is it more than that? So I think these are two questions that I asked you. So yeah.
Okay, so when we say something, it's usually either right or wrong. It need not be right or wrong, but you have some facts which are true and some aren't. But even in that, our understanding of this world keeps changing always. It's never constant. And even in a not yes or no question, even in that case, we have some preconceived notions where like we think this is fine and this is not fine. But as time progresses, that can change. So my question here is, what makes something right? Because at some point it may be right, but at some other point later, we might decide that it's not actually the correct thing.
You know somebody called teachers? They make it right. Okay.
So Ivana can answer the question.
Okay.
wants everyone to finish.
If you're ready, then answer. Okay. Amartya?
So my question is there anybody out there? So yeah, so just
Yes or no question.
It's a yes or no.
That's a yes or no. Like, is there
You
anybody
want
out
yes or
there?
no question?
Okay. Can I pass it on?
Okay.
Aashna?
So my question would be, what happens after you die? So different religions say different things. Some believe that you are reborn. Some believe that you go to heaven or hell, or nothing happens maybe. But what is it? Like, what truly happens? I personally really refuse to believe that nothing, like you're just dead, because it was mentioned before that we are a soul with a body. So something should happen to that soul. We know what happens to the body, but what happens to our soul? So that would be my question.
Just this morning, my mom came to me and told me that she had to fly out. My grandmom is unwell, and I was late to school because I sat down and I had to think, if I died right now, would you be satisfied with the last conversation we had? This is a yes or no question, but I think that there is so much to think about when you say something like this, that I think this has been haunting me for a while now, and I think it will haunt me for a while now.
My question was also, why are you here? But I will tell you the reason which will truly haunt you. So, there's a very, very narrow percentage of people who truly leave an imprint on this world. And the reason we are here is because of the resources we are fed to be here. We not only our daily food, like our the natural oils, but the resources that are depleting at an exponential rate. But if we were not to leave an imprint on this world, why are you ruining the lives of animals which could have lived in peace? Why are you ruining the lives of so many others who live in poverty but could be geniuses who actually truly leave an imprint? So this question is so haunting because you need to make use of the resources which you have been fed all of these years, and you will be fed as you progress in life.
I also went back to a small conversation I had recently. I was speaking to someone I knew yesterday, and I was just, when I get nervous, when I don't know what to say, I just start spitting out random things, maybe even right now. But they asked me, they suddenly just stopped, they're like, what are you trying to tell me, what are you trying to say? And I feel like that question, what are you trying to say, it goes really far, because sometimes I think about, you know what, I'm telling you this, and I feel like I know why I'm trying to say it, but sometimes I'm thinking about, maybe there's another reason why. Like, if I'm sad and I'm saying, like, you know, I'm sad, but, you know, they're like, what are you trying to say? And I'm just thinking, you know, is there another reason? Am I just saying it because maybe I'm looking for someone to hear me out, or maybe I just want someone to hear the words, I'm sad? I don't know. I think that what are you trying to say just goes so far and makes you think about why you're doing what you're doing.
My question would be, who commands you? Every action we do, there is something behind it. So it's either us doing it ourselves, it's either us making the decision ourselves, or it could be something greater. It could be God telling you what to do, putting a pre-planned script inside of you to take a certain decision at a certain time. Or we could be in some kind of massive Truman Show where you're being observed from top, everything is in the script, everything falls into place, and your next step is predetermined. So that's kind of something to think about.
round is over?
Yes.
Okay. This question was prompted in my mind because some of you feel that you were a child long back. You must be a child. Okay, please don't forget that. And don't let any question haunt you, at least at this age. Take it in the stride. Think about the question. Thinking is different from being haunted. To be occupied with the question, be possessed with the question, but be in control. That's a bit of an advice because I feel, though you don't have grey hair, you all feel that you've got the next level. Okay? Enjoy your life. Okay, over to.
So we'll take a few minutes to do the totaling.
Okay, 2 minutes. What do you want us to do?
Yes, sir. Sanjana will take it.
Okay, so I was sitting there and witnessing the discussion, the whole panel discussion, and I was reminded of Frida Kahlo's quote, which she says, "I never paint dreams or nightmares, I paint my own reality." And I could hear each of you saying that out loud. So huge round of applause. Thank you for that guiding and thought-provoking discussion. So as we reflect on the power of the written word, let us remember that a writer is someone who has taught his mind to misbehave. Through their writings, our young finalists have the power to shape minds and inspire change. So while the judges are diligently assessing the scores, I would like to invite members from the audience to engage with our finalists. You please feel free to come forward with your questions or ideas or have an interaction with our panel members.
More than a question, I actually wanted to add one point onto Chairman Sir's question. So when he asked you all to think about a question that haunts you, technically not haunts, but I was thinking to myself, what is a question like that for me? And I'm in 10th grade for those of you who don't know me. So right now, that question for me is, what's next? So I feel like at different phases of life, this answer always changes. I think if you asked me the same question 4 years ago, I would say, what's next is going down and playing with my friends. But right now, I think each one of us is going to have a different answer for this question. And I think that's something that I would like to add on to all of the answers. And I feel like all of us can agree here when we say that all of your answers really opened our mind to something that we would have never thought of. So thank you.
So when you have to write a story or anything, you would first come up with an idea and always have to be creative. Where will you get your creativity from?
Yeah, whoever asked that, where do you get your creativity question? Yeah. Okay. What's your name? Alright. So Shraddha, I think you can get your creativity from consuming other content made by other people, and then writing it, and then you'll get your own ideas as you consume more, pretty much.
I have witnessed many dance performances and all, and my teacher had performed on this one Malayalam poem. Its name is Ratri, and this poem gives a different meaning to Ratri, which is night. It talks about how Ratri is like an amma, it's like an enemy, and it can also be just a soothing lullaby, and it can just be greeting every living being into the next world of dreams. So this poem gave me a different version on how to see night. So can you tell me any piece, it may not be English, that has given you a different meaning to anything in life, night, life, day, light, anything?
The Chairman Sir has given us a lot of thoughtful insights and motivational quotes. So when we were going through the inauguration or the briefing for the panel discussion, he told about steps and landings.
and this gave me a lot of ideas for books. I got my idea of a giant who is just taking steps, he can't stop. That's all he does. So have you thought of any ideas for books from insights from Chairman Sir or any other teachers?
I just have one thing to say. Inspiration doesn't come that easily. It takes a lot of time to flesh out an idea. But I'm really happy that you were able to come up with something that creative, that fast.
Okay, so I have a really simple question. What do you think makes your writing style unique, like to yourself?
Can I? What's your name?
Deepika.
Deepika. So Deepika, what makes one's writing style unique is that it is one's own writing style. It's like you wrote it, and that's what makes it unique because no one else wrote it.
So this is adding to Akshaya's point. So the question that Sir asked was what question haunts you guys, right? So you know how Nithya told like an event that made that question in her mind? Can you also share the events that you felt that made this question particularly, like you answered about this question when you were asked by Sir? Like why, for example, Asmi's question, or why Amartya's question? Like what was the reason behind it? Is there a reason?
There was actually a book that I read, Looking for Alaska by John Green. So in that, the book is divided into before and after. So what happens is one of the main characters dies in the middle of the book, and the after is kind of explaining the aftermath of her death. So that really made me think about what really happens after you die.
As in, are you just an amalgamation of your experiences, or do you have choices going forward? Are you really you? Like, what do you think you are, basically?
You know, this is kind of a question physicists have been asking for a long time. Many physicists have been watching videos, they've been asking themselves, asking each other, asking the world, is this world scripted? Do we have choices? Are we a program? Are we like a hallucination? Are we a dream? That's the question everyone's been asking. I think you've added one of them. So an answer, I don't think I can answer that, but if I had to, I would say that we have our choices.
Waiting for this. But before the announcement of the winner, I would like to give a heads up that the winner is not announced based on the panel discussion solely. We have consolidated the marks of round 1, round 2 and round 3. 20% from round 1, 40% from round 2 and 40% from round 3. The marks are taken and consolidated and the winner is being announced. I now request Dr.M. Srinivasan to announce the winner of the URA Writer Award and share his reflection on today's panel discussion.
Okay, I think I don't think there is a big difference between all of you in the audience and the people on the panel. So your questions were really mind-boggling, and I think we can have a day of questions. Maybe we can think on that. Right now, when we say it is an award, the award goes to only one person, and that person has to be selected based on certain formalities of writing, reading, things like that. It doesn't mean this is the only person who is great. Every one of you should know that you are great. And at the same time, we have a winner. Alright? Do you all want to know the name of the winner? Yes. Anybody has any... Venkat. I'll take one more response. Venkat. Alright. It may not be the way you look at it, There are so many other ways to look at it. And Ivana Dua is the
Can I have a wish from you? Good morning. At the very outset, I did take this opportunity to extend my warm greetings to Chairperson for this innovative initiation or initiative is what I can tell. Because it's a kind of platform where students, budding authors are expressing themselves like this. Don't you think it's an amazing platform for us to explore? Yeah. As millennials, we don't like people tell us what to do, or we don't like what we should do. Do you agree? As millennials, we don't like people tell us what to do. Do you agree with this? Yeah, hopefully. So I'm just here to remind you what you can do to be the best. Just remind you, because you know already what you should do. So what I believe in is, each and every one of us have some uniqueness. That's what we call ourselves as I. Do you call yourself as I? So that's where I say, there is only one you and no one like you. We should be proud for what we are. That's where we have to think that we should not compare ourselves with others. Comparison is a death of life. So for those who have received certificates as participants, you should not compare yourself with the one who has been announced as a winner. Do you agree with me? Please don't compare yourself, no matter what of the situation that you are in. So why shouldn't you compare yourself? Because comparison is a death of happiness. So here's another point for you, which I tell you as a whole is, we have not reached enough to explore opportunities to learn. Be perennial learners. There shouldn't be any full stop for us to learn. See, I as a professor, I have been teaching for past 14 years, but still I find something in every one of you, each and every one of you to learn something. There is an engaged buddy who asked a question. Can I see you again? I call him buddy, right? Okay. See, when he asked a question, I could see that the flow of his question, the way that he was asking with a lot of genuine, inner side to know something. I learned something from him as well. I appreciate you for that. Yes. So at the same time, there is something that we have to again get reminded of is change. Change is something which is certain. We have to accept. What kind of changes that you have to accept? We have to accept the changes that come across in our life. Change due to some risk. Change due to some innovations. Change due to some challenges. Do we have to accept them? We have to accept them. That we should keep reminded of that.